Okay. All right, so we're gonna call the meeting to order at 6:08 p.m. And thank you all so much for joining remotely. This is our first time doing a cultural council meeting over Microsoft Teams. And really appreciative of the IT staff, the clerk's office, and our city council president for being present, as well as our members. So we're going to start the meeting. Everyone got the agenda ahead of time, but we wanted to approve.
I think you have to call roll. You have to ask who's here.
Okay, so let's call roll. Monica, do you want to do that as the secretary who's taking notes?
Sure. Samantha Perlman.
Here.
Gabriele Luzzi.
Here.
Monica Lucy. Here. Kathy Oliver Jones. And she is not here.
Okay. Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
So we have about 5 items to take up on our agenda. The first is to review the minutes from the November meeting. And so everyone got that ahead of time, so we can ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone want to make a motion? What do you say?
You want me to do the motion?
Yeah, make a motion. Yep.
Motion for going with the meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes, seconded. And then we're going to do a roll call vote for that, Monica, to approve the minutes.
So you seconded that?
Yeah.
This is more writing than I've ever done. Okay. So we will take a roll call to approve the minutes. Samantha.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
And Monica. Yes. So the minutes have been approved.
Thank you. The next item is an update regarding the coronavirus and the Mass Cultural Council guidance. And so I sent this, you might have received this already from the State Cultural Council, but we've received information about how local cultural councils can respond to some of our grant requests. So previously, the process has been that if an event has occurred that received a grant, applicants would apply for a reimbursement after the event has happened, and they would give us all of the information. And so we've received communication from the State Cultural Council letting us know that we are able to approve funding even if the actual programming cannot occur due to the financial strain that it has on artists during the coronavirus, and that this is up to individual cities and towns. And so I want to read a very specific passage from their guidance just to inform our conversation. So one of the questions that they raise in their FAQs is what happens if an event gets canceled entirely. So I'm just going to read this paragraph and then we're able to discuss some of the requests we've received from grantees. So it may be that a project or program that your local cultural council funded cannot be changed or postponed and must be canceled. In this case, we encourage you to work with your city or town to see if there's a way to pay the grantee either a full or partial payment. As you know, musicians, artists, performers, storytellers, teaching artists and contract or gig economy workers all over the Commonwealth are losing vital income as part of the result of the necessary closures and cancellations. Local cultural councils can direct grantees to submit a reimbursement form in writing explaining why and when the program was canceled and what expenses and or time they have already committed to the project, along with any receipts and invoices they may have. If your council would like to move ahead and pay the grantee, you can pursue 2 options with your city. You can either A, request a full payment of the grant to the grantee, and if your city will not approve a full payment, they will make a partial payment based on the invoices and expenditures provided by the grantee. So the State Cultural Council cannot require cities and towns to release grant payments whose programs have been canceled, but we strongly encourage it given the severity of the current situation and how important those funds are to the cultural sector. So any thoughts on that before we move into the grantee request specifically, but that's some background information that I thought could be helpful.
I do have a question. Have we just received 2 requests thus far?
Correct. So once we received the state information, we canceled our grantee reception that was supposed to be on April 2nd. And then I sent communication to everyone who received a grant, letting them know that they could reach out to us if there was a postponement of their event. And only 2 of those individuals have reached out.
Okay, and then I have another question too, I guess, which is more my own stupidity than anything else. If, say, the funds don't get used this year because of coronavirus and the fact that we can't, that a lot of, like, the schools are closed, so obviously they're not applying for those funds yet, right? Does that roll over to next year?
So I do not believe it rolls over. We did, some of the schools, I believe Kane, the PTO that received a grant from us, they actually already submitted the reimbursement because as part of the grant, they are able to actually apply after they've done a program. So the program had occurred in the fall.
Awesome.
So some of the schools may not have submitted their request. So my hope is to follow up with folks in a couple weeks too to see where they are.
Okay.
But we did receive 2 requests so far. In other events, they have until the end of the year to request a reimbursement. But if they make a postponement, they do have to contact us in writing.
Okay.
So
All right.
just understand that today we are going to discuss not only the 2 requested, but to create a guideline in order to automatically fulfill eventual request that is going to come along the way, right?
No.
No, so I think we have to take up each request individually. Because according to the guidance I received, we have to take up each request because some of them are varied. So some people are requesting partial payment. Some people are requesting full payment, even if the event cannot occur, and that's up to our discretion.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So the first request we received was from Howie Newman, who was going to have a musical baseball event that was going to be held at the senior center, and he received a $100 grant from us. And so he's requesting to receive this funding in advance. So I want to open it up for discussion. And I did send you both, as part of the meetings here, the email that he sent to the Cultural Council email.
I mean, I think.
So can we ask them? Can we ask him to do it after the coronavirus is due? I mean, this coronavirus, even if he's going to go through September, and he want to reschedule on the fall time. I mean, we're talking about the senior center. I'm not thinking that the senior center is going to say no.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. For him to postpone it all, he had to let us know in writing. So I personally am comfortable with it being postponed until the fall if that's what he chooses. So his request is if he could receive the funding in advance, and we could say that was, contingent on him, doing the event in the fall, but we would be releasing the funds, this month to him, and in light of the coronavirus.
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so why don't we take a roll call vote on that, Monica?
Hold on. Let me just my little roll call vote down here. Hold on.
So this would be a roll call vote to approve the $100 to be distributed to Howie Newman for the musical baseball event, even though it has not happened yet, because it needs to be postponed due to coronavirus.
Does someone have to motion for that?
Yes, so we would need a motion to vote on this.
So I will motion to vote to approve $100 to be distributed to Howie Newman in April for a performance at a later date.
So a motion has been made to distribute the $100 to Howie Newman for the musical baseball event in light of coronavirus, and I second that motion.
Second.
Okay, so do you want to do a roll call vote on it?
Sure. Hold on. Sorry, I can't type as fast as we can talk. Samantha.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
And Monica. Yes.
Okay, so it is a vote of 3 and 1 who's not present to approve the funding for Howie Newman, and I will be able to contact him after the meeting to let him know. The next item is to another request regarding an event postponement and reimbursement. And this is from Greg Mychak for the Georgia O'Keeffe painting event that was to happen at the library. And it had to be postponed.
Samantha, sorry to bother you. For 1 second, I want to interrupt 1 second. Before we go on this one, about the other one, can we ask him to CC the Cultural Council on email that he's gonna forward to the senior center in order to reschedule it?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Some of the emails that he has sent us has been like a forwarded of the email exchanges, at least for the second applicant that we're discussing. So I think that that's appropriate for us to ask him to keep us in the loop on the communication.
Good. Just to be sure that he's going to, because he can say, you know, I tried my best, but they don't want to do it, you know, and give up without doing anything. But I'm asking him to CC us in at least one email where he is asking it to reschedule it would be nice.
Yes, I think that's a really great point. So we can definitely, in the communication, I think many of the applicants who've reached out, the two at least, they've been concerned that, you know, their livelihood, because they've applied to many cultural councils to host the same event, is no longer the case. So I think that they really do want to host the event, but have been unable to due to the coronavirus.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion on that first piece?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. So again, the second applicant was from Greg Mychak, who received a $200 grant for the Georgia O'Keeffe painting session that was to happen at the library that had to be postponed due to the coronavirus. So he's requesting a partial or full progress payment to account for his research. So he indicated that if he couldn't receive a full reimbursement, that he would request a partial reimbursement, because in our Cultural Council guidelines, we are able to issue partial progress payments if something's been done related to the program already, and he did extensive research regarding Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings. Do I have a motion on the floor?
What do we want to discuss? Like, he wants partial payment, yes?
Yes, so we could do either. If, you know, eventually we would have to give him the other half, so we could do a partial payment. It's really up for discussion from this group if we want to give partial or full.
I would vote to give him full, only contingent upon at the conclusion of the coronavirus, the event taking place, I would say. I think given the times that we're in and the fact that, like, we want to keep encouraging artists to run cultural events in our community, we need to help them get through this tough time. But that's just my opinion.
I don't remember the workshop that he was doing, what it was about, because I truly...
Painting flowers, painting Georgia O'Keeffe flowers for people at the library.
So can't he, because as is right now, right? Everybody's talking about the COVID that is impossible to go out and do all these events. Can he do anything with in cooperation with the library to do it online via Facebook from his home?
So I think that's a really great question. Just to read into the record, after I'd sent you all the meeting, he had sent me another email that was forwarded from the library that said, you know, I believe we will have to postpone this event to the winter. With things being so uncertain, I would be hesitant to try and book it for the summer, and we have no fall availability because we're moving. And that's in reference to the Marlborough Public Library renovations. I'm happy to have you in the winter at the programming space in the senior center. I cannot firm up a date at this time, unfortunately, but we'll let you know as soon as I am able. And that's from Morgan Manzella, the assistant director of the public library in Marlborough.
Okay.
So they might not have the technology maybe set up to do it virtually, which I think, you know, could in theory work, but in this circumstance, it seems like they have a lot on their plate already with the closures and then the renovation, so they would have to push it out.
So it's okay. I don't want to push you because I don't know. I just think that the Marlborough Library should have the Facebook page, and going live on the Facebook page, it should be pretty easy for him to do, and it will be a good compromise. But I don't know their extent on their technology website.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We could, say whether or not he's been granted the amount of money, and then we could also operate as an intermediary to see if something could be done virtually. I think my one hesitation is around the supplies for painting.
Yep.
This is an event that might be more challenging to do in a virtual circumstance if people did not have the supplies on hand.
All right.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to give the grant for the $200 for Greg Maycake.
I will second that.
Okay. Do you want to do a roll call vote, Monica?
Hold on one second. So this roll call is to approve the $200. Hold on, $200 to be distributed to Greg Maychek in April for a Georgia O'Keeffe painting session at the library, and to keep the Marlborough Cultural Council in the loop as to when it is going to happen. So Samantha.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
And Monica votes yes as well.
Okay, so that is a vote of 3 and then 1 who's not present to approve the $200 for Greg Mychek's Georgia O'Keeffe painting event. And in both cases, we're going to request some sort of CCing on the communication, which I think is more than reasonable. So thank you for those participation in those votes. And the final item on our agenda is around new member recruitment, which I know is a weird topic to have at this time, but just wanted to reiterate, and for others on the call, I guess this is a point of information. By the state standards, we're required to have 5 members minimum on the Cultural Council, and as of January, we only have 4 active members. So a couple of people were sent to the mayor's office, but obviously there's been a lot going on, so we haven't been able to follow up on that. But also we've had some people express interest, but then not apply. So I just wanted to open it up for discussion of what people are thinking around, recruiting more members, and what the timeline for that might look like, given that we are in the coronavirus, and we don't know when we will be able to meet with folks at all.
Oh, it's not easy right now. It's not going to be easy to find anybody.
I do hear that. One of the thoughts I'm thinking
and there is absolutely nothing that has been put it up from the town either.
Yes. So before, a couple months ago, I requested from the mayor's office for them to do an additional press release, since I know they were looking for other boards and commissions to have, people applying and share what the open boards and commissions were. We were not listed on the original one, so I requested for us to be on the second one, but that was not sent out. So we did do some minimal outreach to people. What we could do is, I don't know how many of our applicants are also Marlborough residents, so we could, request that they apply if they're a resident, or we could also, people have to take a cycle off after serving 2 3-year terms, so we could also see if anyone else wants to come back on the council. So I just think it's good to get some people maybe in the pipeline, even if it might take a while for them to be officially appointed, just due to we won't be able to have a council grantee meeting in November without 5 members.
I know. Let's try to find something. There is any way that someone of you can, because you are better than me writing down anything nice that can be shared with Facebook? I know that right now everybody's on Facebook because there is absolutely nothing else to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can put together a blurb and send it, to the mayor's office, see if they'll put it on the city page, like the official Facebook page. And I also think maybe we could contact some of like the musical groups related to the schools or other bodies just to see. I mean, we only really need at least one person. And just let them know that we're aware of the coronavirus circumstances. But do you want to, let them know this is an opportunity? Because even if they don't apply, let's say tomorrow, they would still know about it and know the process.
Do we know where we stand with the two people that went to the mayor's office? Are they going to be approved?
I think one of them will not be approved, and the other person I don't think ended up filling out the application. So the mayor's office wanted us to send forth the names, and they wanted a resume and a little paragraph describing why they wanted to join this particular board or commission. And then, once the mayor's office had processed them, they would then go to the city council and then be referred to the personnel committee and then be reported back to the city council. So there would be a process involved that might take a while. And at this time, we don't know if the subcommittees will be meeting in the same capacities as they used to.
Okay.
For the council.
Okay. So we try to recruit with social media and just to make sure that people understand that if they apply now through the city webpage, it's going to take a while to answer back to the coronavirus, right?
Yes. And I think this is just another encouragement. I think when we were looking for members earlier on, if people can share it out with folks that they know, it really isn't a huge time commitment. And given that we're only reading remotely, they won't really have to go anywhere at this point. So it would be pretty low lift if people were able to join. We would be able to send them through the appointment process.
So because we're going to know that the process is going to be really slow and everything, would you like to put the council email so that people can answer directly to that, so apply directly to that, and have at least an answer as soon as possible? Because I know that Samantha is going to be better than anybody else in town to answer them as quick, at least that, to a first approach.
Do you mean through our cultural council email account?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely, I think the email, unless someone has a personal relationship, should come from the cultural council email. And then we can list that as a contact. And, maybe there's a way that we can better coordinate with the mayor's office that we could process all of their application components and then just forward it to them. So that we take a lot of the lift out of their workload, since we know that they're doing a lot right now. And essentially, if someone got signed off on, then we would at least let them know that they're going to go through the process. And hopefully they would get appointed. But I just wanted to raise that. I know November feels really far away for when we would meet again for the next grant cycle, but I think it's important to keep this on our radar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm not good with wording, and I don't want to ruin the recruitment, but if you have anything that you can share on Facebook, we push it up in all the platform. I can share with the Marlborough Chamber of Commerce as well.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think, I think it'd be a good way to get more people involved with some of the arts community in our city.
Yeah. And I know that, a lot of companies need to get together to put yourself, to put do volunteering in the city. So hopefully someone is going to join us.
Yes. And, at least now they might have more free time to do so, at least to submit the application materials. So Are there any other discussion on that particular topic?
No.
Nope.
All right, so now seeing no more items on the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn from anyone?
I'm
Motion to adjourn?
to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Was that a second?
Second.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting.
Hold on. 1 second. Hold on. I'm coming. I promise.
No, it's really fine.
It's just so different. Samantha,
Yes.
Gabrielle,
Yes.
and Monica says yes.
Okay, so it's a vote of 3 to adjourn our meeting. So we are adjourned at 6:34. Thank you all so much for participating in this remote meeting. And we'll be sure to keep in touch with Steve in the city clerk's office to make sure that our minutes are good.